Good morning, kiddos. All right, so we're gonna just start this video right off with telling you what we're doing today. We're gonna be on Chic for Cheap. That is a playlist that every month Christi over at Christi Creates, she has for everybody to join in, and we find things that we wanna buy, but we're too frugal or don't have the money to buy it. And so we make it for cheaper than what we found it at the store. So I have had a lot of fun with this. I hope you do too. I've got 4 today. I would have had 5, but I messed it up big time. So we'll go with the 4. And the 5th one, I'm hoping I can fix with a simple extra hole in it. So we'll see. I had to do a little bit of fixing on it, so it's not quite the same, and so I didn't feel like it fit in with this challenge, but we'll see what it comes out the next video. All right, let's get right to it. This first project came from At Home, and you see it was $9.99. You're gonna need 2 of these bushes that I got at I got those at Walmart, and they're 99 cents each. 2 bags of the clear stones, or whatever color you wanted, and then that square glass jar. Of course, heated up the sticker to take it off, then it just peels right off. Now I put the stones in there, and then I'm going to cut the bushes. They are already variegated in height, so basically all I had to do was cut them off square at the bottom, and then I pluck all the leaves off of them because in the showpiece from the store, they didn't have any leaves on them. I normally leave the leaves on there because it gives it more filler, but because this was such a small project, I really didn't need the filler. I just needed the 2 bushes. Now, this was $9.99 at Home. I think you can get a 20% off coupon, so that would put it at 8. But I made it, if I hadn't had to use the extra bag, I would have made it for 4. So that would have been half the price that it was at the store, and it took me, minutes to make. So this was a super simple project for anybody, and you should try it because this one is very easy to do. Okay, so this one is gonna go in my bedroom. So I probably, when I get done with this video, I'll probably add some kind of lace around the jar. Maybe not lace, ribbon around the jar. I'm not big on a whole lot of lace. My room is a little bit romantic. It is dark gray and white, and then with just some pink accents here and there. So I wanted it to look like the piece from the store, so that's why I didn't add it today, but I will be adding it in the end. I just thought it turned out so cute, and it was super, super simple. This next piece was also from At Home, and it was $9.99 for 4 of them, and it's napkin ring holders. So I just got my beads out, and I only made 1 of them today to show you. I was in such a hurry that I was trying to get this done. So I'm taking out a bunch of twine, and I'm going to measure out, I think I did it at like maybe 15 to 20 inches, and I did 4 rows of it, or 4 pieces of it. I should have done 6. It just needed to be a little bit thicker, so do 6 strands of 20 inches. I'm hot gluing it here so that I can make it pointed and it'll go through the beads easier. I can string my beads, not beans, I didn't have any beans, beads faster. It's been a long night, y'all. I didn't finish up till like 3:30 this morning, and so now this morning I'm doing my voiceover. So there's 10 beads on here. Actually, in the project there was 10 beads, but it was so much bigger than the actual project because I think my beads were a couple of about 5 millimeters bigger, maybe not even that, bigger than the actual piece. So I got those beads at, where did I get those? Hobby Lobby. And they, of course, were 50% off when I bought them. So they were $1 for 16 beads. So I think if you got the size smaller, you get a better result in them. So what I'm doing is I just bead all 8 through, and then I take the 9th bead and I push it up through both strings through the middle, tie a simple knot at the very end of the beads, then I fluff it out like I want it, I trim off the excess, and then I unravel the pieces of twine. These turned out adorable. I'm going to finish these. It just didn't have the time last night. But as you can see, I'm just fluffing out the jute and making it so that it's more stringy and fluffier and giving it that tassel look. And here's the final product. I am so pleased with this. Now, I can't wait to put this on my dining room table. I'm in love with it. All right, this next project, I didn't have an inspiration piece. So I just saw this in a magazine, and I could not find where I found it. These are smaller than the ones I found. The ones that I found in the magazine, I think they were probably a 4-inch pot, and this is a 2-inch pot. I got the pots from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to whitewash the pots. And so I'm going to put some white on there, and it's just the cheapest white you can find. And I'm spraying it down with water because I just want it to be a wash. So at first I try to paint it on, and it comes out too thick. It probably would have worked if I'd have figured out sooner that sanding worked on it. But then I decided, well, I'm just going to take this paper towel, and paper towels are a bad idea on terracotta pots because they shed. So you should probably use just a rag on there. I mean, it came off. It's just that if you're, being pick-snickety like I was last night, but I was in a hurry as usual. So to finish this, so I went ahead and just wiped it all out. And then once it was dry, a little bit dry, I didn't even wait very long. I just basically, you're going to see me, I pick it right back up here in just a minute. Of course, terracotta soaks in stuff, but I pick it up here in a minute, and I use that sanding paper and then that sanding block on it. And y'all, that turned out, it just knocked off enough of the white to make it look used. I love it. So that just know you can sand a terracotta pot. All right, well, now I'm getting them all sanded, and in the end I decided I only want to make one of them. I thought I was going to make two, but I think I'm going to use this on my tiered tray in my dining room, and so that would be kind of weird, or it's not my dining room, it's my bar or my kitchen. Be kind of weird to have two in the same tiered tray. So I thought, well, I'll just do one and I'll make something out of the other one later. So I did go ahead and make two pots, but at 3 a.m, you get a little, I'm crazy. So I was first thinking that I could wrap this stuff around it. It's kind of like a strip of moss on a sheet. I didn't like the way that it was going to look. It was going to be too patchy, and I just couldn't figure out how I could get that to do it without that. Now, I have turned my hot glue gun off on this because it was melting the styrofoam ball. But, you wouldn't have to. So what I should have done was I should have cut up a bunch of pieces to start with. I figured that out in the end, that I should have took this Spanish moss and cut it up. And the reindeer moss at at Dollar Tree would work. I just didn't have any of it because I haven't bought any of it because I knew I had this old bag of moss. I've had this moss forever and ever and ever, and I was like, I really need to use this and get rid of it. So you ever get like that? It's like I cleaned my scrapbook room the last few days, and so everything that I've had for a while, I'm like, okay, I've got to use that up and get rid of it now. So I've got to make that into a project. So I just go ahead and hot glue all the way around. And what I figure out eventually is if I cut smaller pieces of it and then put some cooling hot glue on there, when this gun cools down, it's kind of still like a regular hot glue gun. Again, this thing is viciously hot. So, the reason everybody's like, why don't you just use a regular one? Well, because it gets viciously hot. I like that. I like for it to be hot because sometimes I need it to be thin enough to get down in little cracks. And when it's really, really hot, it's like molten lava and it just seeps into everything. So I like that in a hot glue gun. I do have a low temp, but then you have to wait forever for it to get up. to get up hot enough to be able to just squeeze the glue out of it. It just feels like it's just barely coming out. So I really don't like using the low temp unless I just absolutely have to. I never pull that one out. Again, just a picky hot glue user. You know, you get one of my favorite guns over the years was I can't remember the name of it, but they quit making it, and it was supposed to be rechargeable, or it's supposed to stay hot for whatever. Well, it never did, but it worked great because it had a little bitty nozzle, and it was navy with an orange green end on it. I loved that thing, but it eventually died because I left it plugged in. So now I'm going to take some twine and wrap it around the ball. The piece that I had gold around the ball, and it didn't have it in a pot. Well, actually, it did have it in a 4-inch pot, but it had gold ribbon, but I didn't have anything thin enough for this small ball. It needed to be almost like thread, and all I had was like some thicker gold cord, and I didn't really like it. It didn't, it just wasn't thin enough. But this will go with everything in my kitchen. So anyway, I've got it all, and now I'm going to wrap some twine around the pot, and then we're just about finished with it. I hot glued the ball to the pot too, so that it would stay in there in case I dumped it over when I got it in my tray. Okay, here's the final project, and is going to be perfect for my little tiered tray for my kitchen. What do y'all think about it? All right, here's another one from At Home, and it was $19.99, I believe, and it's in their new spring collection. Now, the first thing you're going to need is one of these splatter screens, and you just need to take the screen out of the middle of it. And I did use the one with the knob. That bush came from Hobby Lobby at $3.99, which I got for half off, I'm sure, for $2. And this bush, I'm thinking came from Walmart, but it had no tag on it. So I'm going to say it came from Walmart. I'm just cutting all the flowers off of it and the leaves because I really like the leaves. And that kind of looked like the other. This bush came from Walmart, and I believe it was $2 a bush. I don't like those yellow things on it, so eventually I cut off 4 of the sprigs, and then I take the leaves off of one of them because they had the yellow on there, and I didn't really like that. Now I used 6 of these, so I just cut them all apart, 6 of those, so that I'll have, I'll hot glue them in individually. And let's see, what else am I doing? Oh yeah, and I got these new pliers. I stole them from my husband, don't tell him. I really like them. They nip that wire really quick, and I'm like, hey, that's a lot better than those little bitty ones I've been using. You know, what he doesn't know won't hurt him. Don't tell on me now. So I sort everything out, and I'm cutting me some pieces of floral wire, and I cut about 4, probably needed about 6 by the time I got done. I'm going to wire and hot glue, but when I start out, I really usually start out with, when it's a wire, I wire some of the flowers on there, and then I hot glue them on. And once I have something set on a wire ring, and I have it wired in, then when I hot glue, it has something to hot glue to, and it's not just twisting. Because sometimes when you hot glue to something thin, if the flowers are too heavy, they'll start falling down. And so that's why I wired it first, and then you can see I'll go back and hot glue it later. But I wire the biggest or the thickest flowers in first. I get that where I want it to be. So now I'm going to start adding the leaves, and I'm just going to place some here, covering up the holes in the stems from the flowers, and I'm going to hot glue them in to begin with. Later on, I think I wire in a few of them, but since there's something to stick to right here, I'm going to hot glue to that, and they stayed really well. I'm just kind of placing where I want everything. The big leaves I start with hot gluing, but the boxwood, it's kind of a boxwood berry. It's called a berry mix something, but I'm going to call it a boxwood with berries. I just kind of I put it into, it's not glued in or wired in yet because I don't really know where I want it. So I kind of put the leaf, and then I kind of use the boxwood as a guide to, okay, so it's this big, I need to go up from that, because you don't want everything laying directly on top of each other. In flower arrangement, that's kind of how you have to do it, is you get the big stuff in there and then you add the little to it later. And those leaves are quite big. So, and I kind of use the boxwood as like an extra flower. So now I'm just what I was doing there was just tightening up the wires that I had on there, trying to make sure that it was as good and tight as it needed to be so that it wouldn't, fall off eventually. And now I'm just going to place the rest of the boxwood on there, and I am wiring this piece in. I really didn't have anything to hot glue it to, so it just felt like it was doing better that way. And I'm using that glass plate there because when I do hot glue in floral arrangements, normally they're in like a container or a pot, but when you're just doing to such a single ring on the back, it seems to drip, and I, even though I still had a couple of drips, it wasn't as bad as it normally is when I do one of these. Alright, so now I'm just I've kind of figured out where I want everything, and so I'm just going through and adding the extra little pieces to this. This one was actually really simple to do. I love the little wire thing that it came from Dollar Tree, and it was made out of something from the kitchen. I don't know why, I just thought that was kind of cool, because I didn't have any silver paint, and I didn't have one of those rings to one of the gold rings or copper rings or whatever they are to use, and I thought, well, since I'm going to use these colors, it's perfect for my bedroom. And I've got just a little bit of a wall there by my husband's closet that I'm going to put it on, and I just thought it turned out adorable, and it doesn't have any ribbon on it, which is not a thing for me. I love ribbon, but I just thought that it was simplistic, and I don't know, I really liked it. Very romantic looking. Okay, so now I'm just going to go on the back and cover anything up that with hot glue, and cut any wires off that are on there. Now, if it was going to be on something glass or metal, and it was like your door and it was going to open and close a lot, that's going to rub. So I would probably put some felt pads anywhere I thought, just some of those furniture feet pads. that you can't see from the front of it, you know, that keep your floor from scratching. You can get them at the Dollar Tree, like a whole package for like, well, it's for $1, but there's like 50 of them in there. And so that kind of keeps it from scratching on your door. So I really like the way it turned out. It's super cute and simple and romantic, and I think it's going to look awesome in my bedroom. Now, if you like these projects today, I hope that you stick around and subscribe to my family and become one of my favorite people. Here are all the projects together, and I couldn't be more pleased with how they turned out. I really wish I could have gotten that 5th one in there, but I'll survive. Now, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'm going to do a haul video from Dollar Tree for the spring stuff and all the new stuff that I found. I hope you can join me then. Till then, see you Wednesday.